everybody, it is Calxiyn and Hunter here, and today we are talking about the big secret of the Blacksmith. I don't know what I'm gonna call this video yet, but the premise is that we need to talk about the Blacksmith, the tree, the gods, everything the cat said last episode pretty much. Here's something that drives me nutty, and if we don't find the answer to this, I will go to the tree. Son goes to sleep one night, and he dreams of the tree, and the tree fills him with a strange peace and a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in a long time. He wakes up and finds his semblance like the next day. Why would they do this? Could it be a different tree? Sure, but the fact that the tree fills him with purpose? I would defend a place like that to my death, right? Like, that's a very specific thing to say, you know? And like, he remembers the details so vividly that it couldn't have been from his imagination. He remembers it better than the faces of his parents. And whenever he pictures it, he feels that calm again. Like, that is a weird, that purpose again. That is a weird thing to put in the books if they're not going to address it whatsoever. So here's what I came up with. So last episode, we find out that the gods made the ever after, according to the cat. Like, we don't know that much yet. Like, the cat says it was
we were cut
before,
off, or
right?
the cat was cut off.
Yeah, like the cat says it was before, it could still be after, we don't know, but let's go under the assumption that everything the cat says is true. That the gods made the ever after and then they abandoned it to go make Remnant. Well, that got me thinking, like, the cat has beef about this, but who else could feasibly have some beef? Because yes, the cat is different, right? Than like RWBY and the king and the prince. However, like the Blacksmith character that we haven't seen a lot of, I think that basically they are the precursors to like the relics. The cat represents knowledge, she represents creation, the Jabberwocker's destruction.
Yes.
And then the tree itself is choice, because you go to the tree when you want to choose. On the choosing thing, this hasn't been confirmed, but this is my theory, right? When they are having the conversation in RWBY's shop and Blake sees her other self, for example, her other self gives her a choice. Stay as you are or become something else. At least for humans. We don't know about the ever afters, right? It hasn't been explicitly said, but I'm making the assumption that when you go to the tree, you are presented with a choice. You can choose to stay as you are, or you can choose to ascend and become something else. Right? And most of the ever afters will ascend because they've been told that, like, that's what they're supposed to strive to do, to change. And so I feel like with RWBY specifically, because we know that RWBY's going to the Blacksmith, it may be a little bit different. But that's my context for why I think that the tree is choice, even though it hasn't been said yet. It's because when the girls kind of soft go to the tree, they're given a choice and they choose to stay as they are. That's why I think that choice is involved, basically. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but that's like a little theory thing that I have to explain just because it's my headcanon. We don't actually know. But all the context to me points to that being true so far, because the Blacksmith even lets her be herself. When RWBY visits, it's like, if you change your mind, it'll be here, right? It seems like that there's some sort of agency. It doesn't seem like when you go to the tree, you're automatically ascending. It seems like that you have the choice, and the Blacksmith is always there if you change your mind. We've had a lot of theories about how Alex got here, right? We got maiden theories, we got relic theories, like there's theories everywhere,
Tripped
okay?
and fell into a new dimension.
Exactly.
All sorts of things.
We have all sorts of great theories about this. However, I'm wondering if what they are going to do is that people from Remnant have an inherent connection to this world somehow. And so here's a story that I've made up, okay? Once upon a time, the gods made the ever after. They fucked off and made Remnant. Somehow, the cat finds out about this at some point, probably when the gods abandoned them in the first place, right? They probably realized that the gods left them and wonder where they went. So the Blacksmith, being sort of the precursor to the relic of creation and having all the power that Ambrosius does without any of the limitations, decides to make some sort of like orb or seeing like crystal ball type thing. Sure. She makes some sort of mirror, all right, you could say, like a mirror that is able to look into Remnant and see what's going on. So she basically kind of asks the mirror, not in a Snow White way, but more like like the seer
magic
grim,
mirror?
right?
Sure, okay.
Kind of vibe. The looking glass, if you will, right? She makes the looking glass, right, and looks into Remnant and is like, what's going on over there? And the Blacksmith sees humans and is like, well, this is interesting, like, you know, because she's also, something to note that's sort of important is that she looks very human and of herself, right? She's just empty, like she's robotic. So I think that she, while the cat is contempt filled. Like, she is curious. Like, and so it's almost like a switch. You think the cat would be the curious one, but instead he's very hateful.
Okay.
She is actually curious about, like, what makes these things? How do these things tick? Because she's like Ambrosia. She's curious about things like that. So she looks into the looking glass and she watches humans and she's like, yeah, well, they have magic. I could do that. I could give some people here magic. So she starts to give magic to characters like the prince. And that's why we see the prince has shrinking magic and other things that go on. She's sort of learning from what the gods are doing. And it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then Salem destroys the world. Oops. All the humans are gone. So while the cat hates humanity, the blacksmith actually feels pity because she was interested in the humans and the gods did something cruel and snapped them out of existence. So what does she do? We don't know how exactly humans regrew on Remnant. Some people think it was some sort of, like, you know, how we evolved in terms of, like,
but it is strange.
amoeba, like what do you, like, oh, you know,
Also,
it all started with the Big Bang,
Faunus,
like, or whatever,
like
right?
Faunus just magically appear at this time.
and so
People
it's
lose
like,
their magic, but they gain semblances.
yeah, and so,
dust
like, people
appears.
think they naturally just regrew as in, like, how we grew over billions of
Years.
whatever the fuck, right? But here's what I think. I think what happened is that the blacksmith took pity on Remnant and decided the gods screwed us over and screwed them over. Like, maybe I can remake them, but they won't be to the same capacity that they were. Adams and Eve's it, I guess, and makes a bunch of humans and puts the humans on Remnant. And that's also how the Faunus come to be, because, oh, you know, maybe some animal traits, that'll help them out, right? Like, that'll help them survive better. So then she starts to make, like, humans come first, and they're not really surviving. They're not doing too hot. So then she makes Faunus, and she's like, maybe they have a better chance. Like, she's basically making
What
this
if we
generation.
gave, these humans are nice, but what if we gave them cat ears?
Yeah. So she's the one that's doing all this, right? She's the one that's remaking humanity. And over time, she comes to the conclusion that Faunus traits aren't enough. Let's give everyone a semblance, right? They'll visit me, they'll get their purpose, and they'll go back to Remnant. On this premise, the way that Alex and Lewis got there is that the blacksmith pulled them through, like kind of an astral projection going literally through the looking glass. So what happened to Sun is that he had a dream of going to the tree, and then he went back home because, you know, that he woke up,
Yes,
right?
he woke
but
up.
like, you know, there could be interesting implications that Alex and Lewis went to sleep, but they were in some sort of coma because of the Great War, and they couldn't actually awaken, so they were there longer.
Dark.
It could also be that the blacksmith pulled them through, but they didn't know what they wanted to be yet, and so she let them travel through the world. And that would explain why, because I was like, okay, the problem with this theory is that Jean doesn't see anyone else fall. And if Jean has been there for, like, years, that's kind of ridiculous for no child to have a new semblance in the past 10 years. The blacksmith usually pulls people in, and she gives them their purpose and then sends them back through the looking glass. The problem, characters like Alex and Lewis, like, something happened. They were either, like, stuck in a deep sleep that they couldn't wake from, or the blacksmith didn't know what purpose to give them. Because what's interesting is, when you think about semblances, a lot of them, what does Blake's semblance help her to do? Like, it helps her to run away. What does Sun wish for? He wishes that people in his tribe would actually fight. And so he gets the semblance to clone himself, to make himself friends, so he can fight. Trivia wishes that her fairy tales were real, so she gets a semblance that lets her manipulate the world and make fairy tales like a reality. Not every single...
wishes she could explode.
But you can at least kind of see where it's starting to... Right? Like, everyone's purpose has something to do with some sort of trauma they kind of went through. I think most people are like Sun. They just go in their sleep one night to the blacksmith. The blacksmith has a conversation that they never remember. And then they go back to Remnant and they get their new purpose. The blacksmith gives these new humans their purpose. But something happened with Alex and Lewis where they were both... like where they were both dragged in. We don't know why.
It's a regular part of puberty, you know? You start growing hair in new places, your voice gets deeper.
Oh my God.
You visit a stranger in a tree in a different dimension.
The other thing is, we all thought that the link between semblances and magic was like Salem-era humans, like them being the remnants. But like, it makes a lot more sense that
it's a semblance of your former power.
Yeah, but it makes a lot more sense that the humans got dusted and turned into dust, whereas the semblance of the former power could be gifted by the blacksmith. Like, people thought, like, oh, semblances just became in the ecosystem because humans got dusted, and that's how humans came back. But this would make a lot more sense for how humans came back and why they have a semblance of the power they once had. Dust is just purely the humans that died before. Eddie said that there is a link, but what if, like, what Eddie was talking about, because all he said was, yes, Is there a
Yes.
link between semblance and magic? Yes. Like, what if what Eddie was talking about was the ever afters magic? Was just magic from another source, because the blacksmith, I would categorize her as magical. If she changes people into other things, like that's Ambrosius, that's magic. You know, she's careful not to involve herself too much. She just gives them their purpose, she has a conversation, and then she sends them back. But it's because she realizes that the humans she made were not surviving. With the Alex and Lewis thing, like, it's possible the blacksmith wanted to experiment with, like, what if they're in the ever after for longer? Like, it could have been that. It could have been, again, we have the semblance that, like, one of them has teleportation. Teleport to a place that they know, and because they had actually been to the ever after, that's how the logic of the semblance activates. I'm sort of thinking, because the blacksmith also says, like, nothing, no one is ever truly lost. So what if that's greater foreshadowing to, like, humanity? Humanity wasn't really lost because she was watching and she took pity. And she also looks very human. You know, if the cat has beef about the gods leaving them to make humanity, it's like, did the cat only have that beef as recent as Alex? Or did he always know that the gods left them? The blacksmith, maybe, like, even the cat and the blacksmith know each other because the cat's been to the tree before. So it's possible that, like, maybe they were even together, or they worked together. They used to work together before, but then the cat got resentful of, like, the blacksmith, like, you're helping those humans? After the gods left us for them, you're helping them, right? Like, something like that. And we may see at least hints to that next episode. I don't know if we're gonna get a whole, like, dump, but, like, it makes sense to me. The cat
changes their feet.
Yeah, and so it would make sense for the cat and the blacksmith to work in some sort of harmony, but if he was resentful of the blacksmith for, like, taking pity on the humans and remaking humans, like, maybe they had, like, a breakup, basically, like a work breakup. I kind of like that. I like this idea that the
We
curious—
love a good divorce.
Like, the curious cat is curious, but it's because of all the rage he feels. Whereas the blacksmith is creation, but it's because of her curiosity that she wants to facilitate humanity again. Like, she takes pity on humans and wants to remake them.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't think they deserve what the gods did to them, to just throw them all away like trash. And so what do you think about this, Hunter, in terms of the blacksmith making humans? Because it's a reach. It's like a stretch.
It is a reach.
But, like, I kind of like it, though.
That also goes against a lot of what, like, the previous lore we got of, like,
Not really.
like, the two brothers joined together to make humans.
But that was the first humans.
Yeah.
The blacksmith is just making new humans instead of letting them be snapped.
That basically means that, like, the blacksmith is like a lower god and or lower angel of creation.
Kinda like
basically.
Ambrosius. Jin doesn't only have 3 knowledge.
Yeah, but
you know
it's not.
what I
But
mean?
he's not like.
It's a limitation on Ozpin.
But he's not
Ambrosius could
creating-
do anything, I believe.
But
If
they never
they
specify
let him
that.
loose, I think that he could, though. There's nothing.
They never specify that. Though.
Do you think that Jin only knows the things that people ask her?
I think
I kind of feel like Jin knows everything.
I imagine Jin and Ambrosius as like sentient magical machines.
I think Jin knows everything. She'll
Yes.
only tell you, though, what you ask about.
Oh.
I think Ambrosius can create anything.
Okay,
He's
I think-
limited only by
Yes,
Ozpin.
that's
But
what I
if you
meant.
let this man loose,
Oh.
he could, like, go crazy.
I think he could create anything, but he will only create what has been allowed for him by the gods, by his creator.
Right, but he made a human.
That's true.
So I still think it counts. But yeah,
that was more of an in-betweeny kind of tricky question.
but like, maybe
as
it's
for
not
the-
like the blacksmith. Like, maybe the humans
I
aren't
think it
really
would
human.
be-
Like, they're human, but like, they're more like
It
the
makes
ever after.
sense.
You know.
It makes sense that they would potentially answer that question here, because in Volume 6, we get a lot of big answers, but we never get the answers of, okay, exactly where do the Faunus come from? Exactly where do the humans come back to?
Yeah.
Other than, like, the only assumption is that, well, they must not have killed everyone, or a bunch of people just, like, came to with amnesia,
Yeah.
you know, in a
And that,
scary
to me,
new world.
And like the billions of years evolution theory, like, I guess, but like
I don't like the
RWBY
billions
is a
of years,
fantasy
yeah.
show, right? So
It would be weird if they got all like here's the early amoebas,
yeah,
and now,
yeah.
they're
and
simians.
Salem waited around.
And the simians are evolving
Salem
into
waited
humans.
around with the early amoebas.
And here we have early Cro-Magnons and early
Right?
Homo
So
erectus.
I
and,
just-
there's the Homo sapien.
But the interesting
Seems
thing
kind of
is,
odd. I don't
is that
like that.
when the gods put Ozpin,
For RWBY.
like when the gods put
This is how
Ozpin
it
back,
happened.
like they know that there are humans again.
Yes.
So I wonder if they were like, now what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, who did this?
I guess no one would. I guess he
Because
never
they
thought.
go get Ozpin
Yeah.
because Salem is now no longer alone on
Yeah.
the face of the world.
No.
But like, I would be
No.
like, now wait a minute.
It's it's what would you call it? It's a plot contrivance.
Well,
or a plot blank
maybe
spot.
the God of Light was pissed. Like, maybe he was pissed. He just didn't show it. You know what I mean? He could have been a little pissed.
But, I mean, it would be a little left field, but also they have to explain it. And, I mean, I had the theory going that, like, the cat was the god of darkness and the blacksmith was the god of light. That's not really true now because
we know the gods were something else.
The cat seems to talk about the gods as if they were other people.
Yeah.
But, like, maybe that's still true about the tree.
Like,
maybe that's still true about
has enough creation power. Because, like, what's the difference between her making something like the prince?
Yes.
Like, the prince is a person. He's not human, but humans don't exist there, right? And so, like, there's nothing that indicates to me that she could not make a flesh person. Like, in terms of, like, the Silver Eyes, I don't think that she'll be responsible for that. But they do mention that the Silver Eyes are, like, the God of Light's power. And so if she was made by the God of Light, it could also be possible that that trickles down. You know what I mean? That she also gave part of the God of Light to the Silver-Eyed Warriors. And so I like this. And then, you know, just to tack this on, okay, while we're all here. We have a different video coming out about Neo. I want Neo to become the tree. I want her to work with the blacksmith and, like, give people in the ever after their purpose, but make them not forget who they are. That was a theory that I had in the Neo video, that she would become the tree, like a manifestation or a representation of choice in some way. And so when the ever aftians get there, she's able to transform their form without making them forget. Right? So then they can learn and they can change and they can grow. The prince would still remember his failures, even if he came back and decided to change. The greater metaphor would be that, like, the Ever-Aftians can't really change because they don't remember, like, what they did wrong. But now Neo has to live with what happened, but she's changing. Now the Ever-Aftians, they have to live with their past lives, but they can grow and change better because of that. The other thing I like with this theory is that, like, all the little children of Remnant come and visit Never Never Land and hang out with Neo, and Neo kind of, like, heals.
I used to kill people. No. Hello, children.
But, like,
I hear you have polio. I can fix that.
But it's like, it's healing because Neo was a child who had no one. Now she can give other children a semblance to escape and get out of, like, the situations that they were in. And so, like, even though...
She becomes a fairy godmother.
Yeah, like,
she becomes a fairy tale character.
Even though she doesn't get out and go back to Remnant and, like, fuck Fox or whatever, you know, like, even though she doesn't do, you know, she doesn't do all those things, right? She becomes the fairy godmother. The children of Remnant are brought in by the blacksmith. They still have the conversation about what they want, right? But Neo is now kind of her apprentice in a way. Like, she is, like, working with the blacksmith and she's the tree of choice. And she's able to help these children who activate their semblances, like, find a way out of, like, whatever it is they're facing. Like how she always wanted a way out. So she is, for the children, what they, you know, what, like, she always wanted. So she becomes the hero that comes to rescue the kids. She's just sort of the unseen hero. Like, they won't remember her. So it's, like, kind of Peter Pan, kind of Wonderland, but then also, like, isn't that great, Hunter? Isn't it great to imagine, like, that, you know, these children that are alone like she was come to this magical place and she's able to give them new purpose and a way to, like, fight back against all the wrongs of the world, you know?
I mean, but in, like, a dream way, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, like, she's not grabbing children. That's
but, like, pull through the
Peter
looking
Pan.
glass, right?
Sure,
like, you know,
I
imagine that they're astral projecting. Like, I don't think Sun was actually there. I kind of see it as he, like, projected his way there, right?
His soul.
And so, like, I think that would be cute if, like, there are just a bunch of these. The first person we see, oh God, this would make me cry. Imagine, like, we're seeing that Neo, like, this is the end result of Neo's fate or whatever, that she's the tree now, right? And the blacksmith, like, brings a child from Remnant, and that child looks, like, eerily kind of similar to Trivia, but not exactly the same. And, like, Neo, like, you know, presents a butterfly, and the butterfly is, like, the new power.
Oh, now the butterfly's power all of a sudden.
Okay, something weird that happens in Roman Holiday. No, listen to this, okay? There's something weird that happens in Roman Holiday, where the first time Neo uses her semblance, she creates a half-pink, half-brown butterfly with polka dots, with white polka dots, like we see in the Ever After, and sets it free, because that's a manifestation of her wanting to be free. That's the first time
Okay.
that she uses her semblance. So Neo presents the little butterfly of power to the children, and I think that's nice. Even though Neo
The
is a bad
butterfly of
person, I
power.
think that she still likes, she doesn't hate kids.
Sure,
Right?
she's the fairy godmother.
Yeah,
I would like
oh
that.
My God.
I would like that.
We need
ending
this
for
to
her.
happen. We need this to. I may include this in the other video too.
Oh,
But yeah,
goodness.
I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for attending Calxiyn's Royal Court today, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.